Hello folks, we are back already with another Cronos update, as the recently announced patch did just drop a few hours ago. I actually could have done with it taking another day or so, just so I can take 5 minutes to go and shower between videos, but alas, it is here today, and I've gone ahead and covered it in full already. Because, well, such is our calling. Anyway, as usual, we're not wasting any time, and we are diving right on in. The patch notes dropped just before 4 PM British Summer Time today, and they do go as follows. Travellers, another update fixing various issues you've encountered in Cronos The New Dawn is now ready for download. Please update your game to version 326.654 to enjoy an improved experience in our survival horror game. In this new patch, we focused on removing critical issues and blockers reported by players, improving optimization, adding several quality of life enhancements, and fixing a long list of minor issues. Let our work continue. You can find the full patch notes below. In regards to the critical issues fixed, we fixed an issue where gates might not open after finishing the cemetery encounter and enabling the generator. Fixed an issue where New Game Plus hard mode would not unlock the Chimera skin. Fixed an issue where rerouter nails did not unload and caused issues with audio. Fixed an issue where rerouter nails might disappear after loading the game. Fixed an issue where players could walk through under a closed barricade on the road to the church. Fixed an issue where after the Elisa boss fight, player could get stuck unable to attack and walking backwards. Fixed an issue where biomass would not display any VFX when being burned after loading a save. Fixed an unexpected crash when shooting a nail out of rerouter. Fixed an unexpected crash on player's movement. Fixed an issue where dialogue between Zeba and Elisa was not hearable next to a phone booth. Fixed an issue where Chubby Doppel can despawn in front of players' eyes in the factory zone when coming back to the area after acquiring the gravity boots. Fixed an issue where Brother's cutscene might crash unexpectedly. Fixed an issue where Cat's animation would glitch during movement. Fixed an issue where uncharged regenerative barrels might appear as regular barrels from afar. Fixed an issue where it was possible for doppelgangers to not spot player in scripted sequences, causing them to wander aimlessly. Fixed an issue where loading a save at Centipede Nest would cause optional Chubby to spawn even if he was defeated previously. Fixed an issue where if optional Chubby encounter was skipped, then later on he wouldn't play the scripted sequence of breaking a pillar. Fixed an issue where players might have gotten stuck on gravity platforms within the factory zone. Fixed an issue where repeatedly opening interactions requiring items caused the interaction icon to disappear. Fixed an issue where subtitles were not properly displayed during one of the optional dialogues with the warden. Fixed an issue where doppelganger might get stuck in tentacles and not absorb dead bodies. And finally, fixed an issue where the doppelganger would stop seeing the player even if it had a clear line of sight. Now, moving on to the minor issues fixed, we have fixed an issue where some languages had unwanted characters at the end of splash screen text. Fixed an issue where multiple audio event would play at once when loading a save game after the hidden facility boss fight. Fixed an issue where some languages had formatting issues in soul descriptions within the database. Fixed multiple places where player could get stuck when using Stomp. Fixed clipping issues with Warden's Cape. Fixed an issue where in Pathfinder carrying sequence, blocked weapon switch icon would not appear. Fixed an issue where Chubby Doppel could get stuck on certain objects. Fixed an issue where characters could glitch for a couple of frames during cutscenes. Fixed an issue where explosive barrels would not cause blood splashes from enemies. Fixed an issue where a couple of frames of gameplay camera would be visible during the pod cutscene. Fixed an issue where enemies standing up after being knocked down would happen too fast. Fixed an issue with the textures on the enemy scanner weapon attachment. Fixed an issue where sitting enemies would stand on bed when standing up. Fixed an issue where skipping the first cutscene would cause the audio events to play in the background. Fixed an issue where fears could start spinning around and get stuck. Fixed an issue where objective would not update when entering church main square. Fixed an issue where beacons wouldn't light up within the church zone. Fixed an issue that could cause players to get stuck after petting cats in the cat hub. Fixed an issue where enemies might shake when walking out of biomass spawner. Fixed an issue where enemies could glide away from the player if it performed unreachable behaviours. Fixed an issue where church puzzle statues would not be highlighted. Improved on Traveller model in Centipede Nest that looked very low poly. Fixed an issue where cats would have their heads wiggle. Fixed an issue where hint ribbons would detach from anomaly objects. Fixed an issue where doppelganger might get stuck if trying to perform merge with a body on a different floor. Fixed an issue that could cause camera clipping if the player received damage when petting a cat. Fixed inconsistent audio events in menus. Fixed an issue where enemy scanner would shine red light during cutscenes. Fixed an issue where soul perks would remain on weapon slot UI even after the weapon was unequipped. Fixed multiple issues with localization. And finally, fixed multiple places where the player could get stuck. In regards to the optimization changes, we have a handful right here. We have improved performance spikes when stomping on either biomass or enemies, improved RT performance, improved performance spikes on streaming, improved memory usage, and finally, multiple overall GPU and CPU performance improvements. For the quality of life improvements, we have added sorting to travel log tab within the database, fixed an issue where a note with isolation zone code would not loose highlight line after interacting with it. And then finally, cats collected during previous playthroughs remain in the database when starting New Game Plus. And then at the very end here, folks, we have one specific change for the Linux, fixed an issue where Linux version had problems with enabling HDR. So there we have it, folks, an absolute ton of both minor and major fixes, with some of the most infamous like the cemetery gates no longer being an issue. I am really happy to see the size of this update and to see just so many fixes introduced in such a short amount of time. Cronos released on the 5th of September and then received its first update on the 10th. The update then caught up to Switch players on the 15th, and then we have received this update today on the 26th, with Switch players likely receiving their update within the next 4 or so days. To compare the first and second updates together, today's is quite a bit bigger, being almost twice the size of the first in terms of actual fixes, which is again quite reassuring to see. The devs are making quick work of any and all issues being detected by players, and overall it just shows solid communication and work ethic on their side. This has arrived just 3 weeks after launch, and it's very possible we may have a third update arriving before an entire month has passed, which would be very good going on the devs' behalf. I've covered a handful of games quite in depth over the past 6 or so months, and despite not seeing anything to quite the same degree as how hard the Kazan devs were pumping out updates post-launch, Cronos receiving 3 in its first month, especially of this size, would definitely be above average. Even if it takes a little longer than this and we receive it within the first week or so of October, it is still pretty good going and just reinforces many players' opinions of being in safe hands with the Blueberry Team devs. Now, the quick rundown on Cronos' future would be there are no future plans regarding DLC or sequels/prequels, and that's not to say we won't ever get some, but it has been said by the creative director that they fully intend to move on to something else for now. I theorised that Cronos' future will depend on how it performs over the coming years, whilst Blueberry Team are very much busy with something else, and I am quite confident that the game will do quite well over these coming years, but it all really is one big waiting game, and unless Blueberry Team make a surprise announcement or two regarding this, I'd advise not getting your hopes up anytime soon. What we do have to look forward to, though, would be that they are moving on to another game entirely. It isn't confirmed, but there's a good chance it will be centered around the survival horror genre, given their past few major titles have been, and this is the genre that they have begun to establish themselves within. It might be something entirely different, and again, with it being very early days, it's not likely we will get any news regarding this for quite some time. What we can absolutely count on is receiving further updates for Cronos for the foreseeable future. As the bugs begin to disappear, we can hope for more quality of life instead, but beyond this, your guess would be as good as mine. Anyway, that would be it for this one, folks. I'll be back with more Cronos just as soon as we have more to be back with, and I do of course have a range of guides and news videos on the channel already, so do feel free to stop on by and check things out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, folks, and until next time, peace.